Hello and welcome back to Stash Chats. If you caught me earlier, I thought that the episode of Stash Chats was at 7 p.m. So I just blathered away for 20 minutes. But yeah, today, we're actually here now for Stash Chats. We're going to talk to Kate from You get delivered straight to your email inbox a free PDF sewing pattern, a set of discounts for UK and US fabric shops, and a bunch of sewing tips as well. So hello Jessica, thanks for joining again for the actual Stash Chats. Hopefully we'll get some more people joining as well now that it is actually time for Stash Chats. Don't worry, Kate, about the joining. It usually fails the first time, and then we'll send another request, and then you'll actually be able to join. This just always happens. Hello, Natalie. So at the moment I'm in a different setting, so I'm in an Airbnb. So I'm staying here in Harrogate for the knitting and stitching show, which I'm visiting tomorrow. So Natalie is staying with me, so she's actually in the room next door, so she can probably hear me through the door as well. So hopefully it's not too badly out of sync. We'll have Kate on in a minute. Here we go. It says not able to join, which it always does. I'll send a request this time, see if we can get that to work any better. But yeah, do send your questions in the chat below if you've got any questions for Kate. Hello, Kate.
Hi, yay, we made it.
We made it, yeah. I was like, oh, where's Kate? Why hasn't she joined? And then it turned out I was literally a whole hour early.
I think you were just too excited to see me. And to be honest, I'm just glad it was your mistake and not mine. Because when I saw you going live,
I've literally never done that before. So I must be very excited.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That sounds like the logical answer to me.
Yeah. So do you want to kick things off by just telling us a little bit about you and like what you like to sew and your sewing story?
Yeah, sure. Okay, my sewing story. Okay, so I'm Kate and I run In a Haystack. I think Yvette gave a little introduction, but it is a digital sewing subscription that helps you discover sewing passions in shops. But also I work in public health on air quality and climate change and that sort of thing related to making the places where we live healthier. In terms of my sewing journey, I was trying to think, when did it start? I think it was 2018 or 19, something like that. So not too long ago, but yeah, it was basically just I spoke about it for such a long time and then was given a sewing machine, and that just kind of unleashed it. And I think a lot of people can probably relate, like once you start, you just get deeper and deeper down the sewing hole. So yeah, then a year later I set up Haystack and here I am, sewing still and loving it still.
That's pretty impressive that within a year from like learning to sew to then 1 year later where you feel like confident enough to discover like new indie sewing businesses, like you must have got really like into the community.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of the way, isn't it? Like, I think quite a few of the small businesses that I've had in my packs have been people who have just started and then become a bit addicted, and it just sort of takes over your life. And then I think it also helped, well, I don't know if it helped, but having the lockdowns and the pandemic and everything just gave me more time to focus on it. So that was really good as well. I mean, bad, but good in that sense. So yeah, I think I wouldn't have started a business if it involved, pattern cutting or something, but as a way to just showcase other people's amazing talents, I feel like that was okay to do after a year.
So how do you go about like discovering new businesses?
Discovering the shops for the packs, you mean?
Yeah.
So I probably spend far too long on my phone, but the plus side of that is I'm always coming across new businesses. Hashtags are amazing. Sewing challenges, like seeing what people are up to. Pinterest, YouTube, the Fold Lines resources, just all sorts of places. But I think Instagram is my favorite because there's just so many hashtags that you can explore and discover. And then also sometimes word of mouth. Like I really love it when the businesses that I've featured have other small business friends and then they recommend it and then I kind of meet them through that. Also at the So Sustainable Fair, met a few people there, ended up featuring. So yeah, a range, but I think Instagram is probably the main way.
Have you found it's changed since Instagram's changed the way that hashtags work with featuring like the top posts and you don't see everything that's on a tag?
Yeah, that's really annoying, especially because I like, well, you know, because you're a subscriber, but in the pack every month I put examples that people have sewn, and I usually want to feature the kind of latest ones. And yeah, it's a bit annoying. Hopefully they'll change it back again though. How have you found it? Do you also get annoyed by that feature?
It's really difficult if you're hosting a sewing challenge, because often that if you're hosting a challenge, like, so I host the Sew Fruity challenge in the summer, and you
I love
can,
that challenge.
make a hashtag for your challenge, and then you can just look through that tag and make sure you haven't like missed anybody's entries. But now you can't see every entry, so you have to really like make sure that everyone tags you, and so you can like keep on top of it. So it's quite annoying. I feel like, yeah, let's not get too much into talking about how Instagram's annoying, because that's not what we're here to talk about. So, how would you describe your sewing stash?
So sewing stash in terms of like fabric patterns, other bits, like just everything together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's probably quite reflective of my brain. So not particularly well structured and quite a lot going on. I don't know. Yeah, so I think basically I'm the perfect person to use Stash Hub because it forces organization, and I think once you've got it set up, then it's just like incremental changes which you can kind of keep on top of. But at the moment I've got all of my fabric is under my bed in a couple of drawers, and then there's a huge bag of scraps which I still haven't decided what to do with them in the attic. And then I have patterns, physical patterns in a box, but these days I mostly just have digital ones from Haystack, and those are just scattered around in all sorts of different email addresses, and it's chaotic basically is how I would describe my stash. But also it's a stash that is like full of memories and stories because of the ways I've accumulated the fabric or being given the fabric, or it's like it's a nice place to look, it's a nice place to be, but it's not at all organized.
Yeah. With your PDF patterns then, do you tend to like get the PDF but then not print it until you're planning to make it?
Yeah, well, it depends. So sometimes when I know I have time that month, lovely Fabuloso will print off a copy of A0 for me, because I just can't bear to stick them together. I know some people like it and it's really calming, but I'm an A0 girl all the way. So yeah, I'll get them printed, but they're quite nice because it's really thin, so it doesn't take up much space. And then yeah, for the ones that I'm not going to make, they'll sit on my computer, and then every now and again I'll remember them, like maybe it'll pop up someone else has made it, and then I'll think, oh yeah, no, I should do that. But what I really want to do is to get a projector sewing set up, but it's one of those things that I know I'm going to have to deep dive research into to figure out which one and where to put it and how to do it. But I think once it's set up, it would be such a game changer. Have you tried it?
I feel like I haven't tried it because of the same thing about I'd have to figure out how it was going to work and where could I put a projector and all that. But all of the people that I know who do use projector sewing are like obsessed with it. They love it. So I don't know, maybe it is the way to go, but yeah, I haven't tried it yet. Natalie says can't stand taping together. I also agree, it's just the worst.
Terrible. And inevitably it's going to be a little bit off as well, and then you just have to snip off an edge or something.
Yeah.
I do like that corner trick though that some people do, when you like fold over the corner and then you don't have to cut them. Mm-hmm. I like that. Things like that I find very satisfying, but not quite enough to entice me down that route again.
So have you, like, when you first started sewing, like, did you start accumulating a stash, or has it sort of changed over time? Like, have you got more into PDF patterns, like, later on, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the real amazing bits of Haystack is that these days I don't really very often buy patterns because I'll just use whatever the featured pattern is. I mean, it's always up to the featured shops if they want to gift me the pattern or a fabric or let me use the discounts or whatever. I would never ask them to, but they often do, or I've never requested they do. But yeah, so that's really nice, and it's the right amount for me. Like 1 or 2 things a month, I'm never going to be making any more than that, and it's usually less than that. So yeah, I just have this nice kind of steady increase at the moment of patterns, and fabric I think is moving in the other direction, because yeah, I had that kind of new sewist urge to just buy everything, like to buy all of the animal print fabrics, and this one is one of the like really early ones that I got, and I just love it so much. But it's representative of my early stash, which was everything animal print, and then these days I'm more of a plain kind of person. So yeah, I'd say the patterns increased, the fabric has decreased, and then my style and taste has changed to maybe a little bit more drama in the patterns and more kind of earth tones and plains in the fabrics. I think that's probably the shortest way to describe it.
Yeah, because you did the that sort of pattern drafting course. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I've done 2 of them now, and if anyone has access to them in person, I just cannot recommend it more. But also there's some really good online ones now as well, like Charlotta Pattern Cutting School and Project Patterns, and there's just a lot of them. But there's something really special about in-person ones. So I did one at Norwich City College a few years ago, and it was so nice having this, firstly just having a regular group of people that you see. It was like playing on a sports team or being at school or something, where you just always see the same people again and again, but in a casual way. So I like that for the kind of social aspect. But the pattern cutting itself, it just unleashes so much potential. Even if you don't intend to make your own clothes from scratch as in design them, what you do with your existing patterns is just so much more. And just having that kind of basic understanding of how to adjust things and what the important bits are, like right angles and truing and all of that, I found really helpful. And then I did the second one at Morley College in London, and it was on a Monday evening, so nobody does anything on a Monday anyway, and it's usually such a nothing evening. And then to just have like 3 hours of igniting my brain, it was just the best thing ever. And that course,
did you find you just
went was more
like
around... Sorry, say that again.
Oh, did you find you just went to bed like full of ideas afterwards?
Yeah.
Just like, oh, then I could.
It would continue into the next day. Yeah, and it would continue into the next day, where I would just like, oh, I want to make this, and I wonder how I would make that, and you're just kind of mapping it all out. But yeah, the first course is about making the blocks, and then the second course is much more creative. So it was like, look at this dress and how would you make it yourself, and that sort of thing, and then also draping, and I'm getting excited all over again just thinking about it, but I loved it so much. Have you done anything like that on pattern cutting?
No, but it sounds really interesting, and like some of the pictures that you shared of like the really like interesting bodices and stuff, it just looks really interesting, and it just gives it must just give you so much like understanding as well.
Yeah, and I think also just understanding that translation from 3D to 2D or 2D to 3D, it's like the fundamental element that can be really weird at first, and then once you get it, things make much more sense. Like one of the things we did was pick a letter, any letter, and then cut out a piece of fabric in the shape of that letter, and then drape it on a small mannequin until it was some sort of garment, and you could cut holes in it and that sort of thing. And it was just really fun. It was the lesson is basically anything could become a garment. You just have to be a bit creative and like follow some basic suggested rules. But yeah, really good, really fun. I'm not a particularly creative person typically, so it was really good to have that outlet. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that could be quite a cool idea for like a scrap busting project to, you know, when you get those sort of weird bits of fabric left over, to try and figure out like a way to drape it or to join it together into something.
Oh my gosh, that is actually genius. That is such a good idea. I was thinking as well with scraps that it would be good to just say to myself, okay, for the next 6 months, I can only use like medium weight linen, for example, and then all of the scraps, and maybe in the same sort of color palette. And then you just know that the scraps are all going to go together and you can make a nice like jacket or something. Maybe I need to be a bit more tactical about it. But in the meantime, I definitely like the suggestion of quirky pieces equals creative pattern cutting.
Well, also, I feel like if you're just using scraps to do a project, like the stakes are really low as well, because you're like, well, you know, I've already used this fabric for the thing I wanted to make. Now let's like see what else I can do with it. And if it doesn't work out, you're like, well, it was just scraps anyway, so that can, you know, get recycled.
Yeah, I think that's really true. It's almost a shame that I don't, you know, play with dolls and things anymore, because I think it would be so good to just take tiny little pieces of scrap fabric and then turn it into a cute little garment. I just think that would be amazing. So I need to find people with kids, basically, is the lesson.
Yeah. Also, like kids' clothes as well. You could get a whole garment out of like a remnant.
So satisfying, those seams, because they just take no time to sew. It's really good. It's the same like when you make bras and underwear. It's just like, oh, I'm already done with this seam. Brilliant.
Yeah, I still need to make my first bra. The Pervier bra pattern from one of the previous haystack packs. And I've got it.
That one was so popular as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so I printed it out, so it's ready to go, and I've got the fabric. I got some fabric from Luratu at Supplies. She's just started doing bra making supplies. So yeah, I'm like ready to go. I just need to like actually do it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've got this just a block about it because I've never done it before. I don't know if it's like going to be difficult or like not work out, but you know, I'm not going to know until I actually try.
I think it'll be fine. I had the same thing because we also had the Made My Wardrobe Josie bra in one of the haystack packs, and I was really nervous before I started it, just thinking it was like beyond my abilities. But I think with indie patterns, like they just often have such good instructions that it's actually totally fine. And also, if you have to unpick anything, like we were saying, it's such a small seam, so it's much less awful. But I think you'll be completely fine. And it seems like that's such a popular pattern as well. And you've done the hard bit, which is getting everything that you need together. Yeah, you should do it. Do it soon. I want to see the result.
Yeah. I've got like so much stuff that I want to make, and then it's just like, when do you find the time?
I mean, my solution is just wait for winter. Like, I just have to accept that I'm hardly going to sew in summer, even though I love sewing summery things. But I'm just always outside, and then in winter I like to be a little bit more hibernate-y, and it's like this time of year, like my sewing machine is right next to me and I'm feeling the pull to it. So I don't know if you're the same with like cold weather equals more sewing.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that I am as outdoorsy as you are, so I don't know that it's as, because I think you quite like you know, camping and you know, hiking and all that sort of stuff, don't you?
Yeah, or just a walk, even just a walk outside, I'm happy. But it's always that, like the long evenings, just the lure to go outside, I think. Whereas this time of year, it's just, I just want to be inside, and inside is where the sewing machine is, so it works much better.
No, we can't look at the sun anymore, so we just have the sewing machine light going into our eyes instead. So our only source of serotonin, the sewing machine light.
Yeah. But what a big source it is. Like, I really am just in my happy place when I've got the Parent Trap soundtrack. That is like I have to limit how often I listen to it because it is so special. But if I've got Parent Trap soundtrack and my sewing machine, that is just like the best day, and some good snacks. Do you have a go-to soundtrack to listen to?
New happy light. No, I don't tend to listen to music when I'm sewing. Sometimes I watch people's like vlogs at the same time, and especially if I've got like a bit of unpicking to do, because then I can just like look at all of the nice things that someone else has made and not feel like, you know, everything's a failure when you're on your own and you're just there like, I'm just there like, oh, that's a nice top that person's made. Like, no project is complete without unpicking.
genuinely, I don't think I've ever finished something without unpicking, maybe once. And the problem is I've left my seam ripper at my aunt's house.
Yeah.
So that is definitely going to be a problem next time I try and make something.
You'll have to get a new one. I feel like one seam ripper is not enough, because even if you have them all at home, they just like to, you know, hide somewhere or go on the floor or just roll away, and you need at least two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to bulk buy them. At least 5, I think. That's my new aim.
Yeah, and then they won't go blunt as quick as well, so it's definitely a plan.
Is that a thing? Are you supposed to sharpen them? Or
I
just
don't know if
just-
you can sharpen them, but definitely, like, if you have a really like cheap one that you've used loads, I feel like it just doesn't work as well anymore after a point. And then you try a new one, it's just like, and you're like, whoa! It's like when you change the blade on your rotary cutter.
Oh, that is so satisfying, but also kind of dangerous, because I think if you get used to the blunt one and then swap to the really smooth one, I don't know about you, but I'm sometimes just not ready for it. So I need to like make a mental note, go slow.
I think sometimes you can get like
I've just
you can get like pressing really hard when you've got a really blunt one, and then if you press really hard on a new one, that just blunts it quicker. Hayley says they've got 4 seam rippers with.
It also just goes straight through your board.
Yeah.
I just saw
Hayley's got
about
the right idea with 4 seam.
Yeah, I think that's what I need to do.
Yeah, by the way, everyone, if you've got any questions for Kate, you can ask them in the chat, and I'll make sure that we get those questions. Do you want to tell us a bit about your flax process, Kate?
My flax, oh my gosh, my never-ending flax. Well, it's funny because I keep still telling people that I'm doing it, and I am doing it, and it is going to finish. It is going to happen at some point. But there's been like a year hiatus, so yeah. Again, winter. I'll get more into it in winter. But my flax project was during the first lockdown, I was thinking, what can I do that I would normally not be able to do to take advantage of this otherwise kind of rubbish time? So I just decided to grow flax and then go from basically a handful of seeds to some sort of linen garment, and just basically embrace the slowest of slow fashion, and then made it even slower by my intense procrastination. But it was just the most amazing thing, and every year since then I've grown another bit of flax as well in different ways. So that was my like proper plot, and it grew beautifully and it was amazing. And then subsequent years I used like a bucket or like a little patch of dodgy grass, and I just tried, and actually it grows in all of those situations. It grows, but not that well. Anyway, so there's loads of different stages of the process, and I'm on the spinning stage now, and that's the reason for the procrastination, because it is very difficult. It is such a skill. Honestly, I have so much respect for anyone who can spin, especially flax, because it's such long fibers. This is what it looks like after some of the processing. It literally looks like hair. But if you can imagine, like, it goes from just a kind of long grass-like barky thing, and then it turns into that, and then this is what I spin, and then say again.
So have you spun it in that bit that you've got there?
No, so this is before it's been spun. Let me see if I can find a little bit that's been spun.
Just check on the comments. Sewing Sensation, you can use small scissors instead of a seam ripper. That's what I've been using lately. Okay, so this is some spun flax.
Yeah, so it's a bit messy, but anyway, you get the gist, and then that I'll like weave that together into a piece of linen, and then sew that into a crop top. That's the plan. But yeah, it's amazing.
So do you use
the
cool spinning wheel?
Yeah, there's one opposite me. I'm not going to try and carry that over, but it's a beautiful spinning wheel that my lovely friends bought for me to support the project. So shout out Andrew and Lucia. And I ended up getting it from Eastbourne and carrying it back on the train. Nobody said anything, which I was surprised by. If I saw someone with a spinning wheel, I would definitely say hello. But anyways, it's from this lovely sheep farmers, and they gave me lots of wool and spun wool that they had used. And they also, interestingly, used the spinning wheel for school trips for like decades, and one of my best friends had been on one of those trips. So it just felt like it was fate. I was meant to have this amazing spinning wheel. And it's just beautiful, even if I'm not using it at the moment, but I will. It's the most beautiful thing ever.
So sensations in a movie. Yeah, I feel like maybe that's why people didn't talk to you, because they've got the bad rap. They thought that you were on your way to curse a young girl.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast a spell. That's true. I was also wearing a mask because it was like more COVID-y times. So maybe they just thought, oh, we'll just leave her. We'll leave her be. But it is. I did get quite a funny picture of it, of just a deserted train carriage, and then me and my mask and my spinning wheel.
So how fast do you have to grow to get enough to make a crop top in the end fabric?
Yeah, that's always the question that people ask, and I think it varies so much based on how it grows, how you process it, how efficient you are with all of those things. But I was told that it was something like 3 square meters for a tea towel, whatever a tea towel is. But I grew 5 meters. So I'm thinking like something really skimpy, basically, is probably what I'm going to end up with. So you do need quite a lot. But if you just grow a little bit a few years in a row, anyone could do it. That's my theory. Or I think it would also be quite nice to just make a belt or something, and then you just need hardly any of it, and you can weave it in a different way. And yeah, maybe I'll try that next time.
How are you going to weave the loom?
I don't know. I don't think there's going to be enough to use a proper loom. I haven't even researched the weaving bit yet. So I can't answer that. But this was a tactical thing, because I think if I had researched every stage before doing it, I just wouldn't have done it. It would have felt way too daunting. So my approach is just research as I go. But actually, since I've been so slow, loads of other people have done it now. And also some people had done it before me as well. But there's a little community online and some events and stuff about it, with nettles and flax and hemp, all vaguely similar processes. So there's more people I can ask now, which is great. I'm sure when I get there, I'll have people that can show me the ropes.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else that you wanted to show us on Stash Chat today?
Well, I can show you. So another thing that I like to do with my fabric is, I don't know if you do this as well, but I love it when I can wear something that reminds me of something or tells a story. So I think a lot of my fabrics are things that I've bought on a trip or a holiday. So this, for example, is it's a linen, and I got it last year when I went to the Amazon rainforest, which was just the most incredible thing ever. And I just really wanted to go before it gets too much more depleted. I know that sounds a bit like doom and gloom, but I love the thought. I made this fabric into a top, and I just love the thought of I don't know, watching a David Attenborough documentary or something and thinking, oh, I bought this in Amazon. I just love that sort of thing. And then on the UK side of things, we were talking earlier about how my stash has changed, and I think it's gone from animal print always to, well, I had a color analysis and got into color analysis stuff. So I have mixed feelings about it, because I don't like the idea of you should wear this and you shouldn't wear that. But for me, it's been quite helpful in limiting choice, because otherwise I'll just not be able to know what I want. So choosing between a certain color palette is good, and then it means I can mix and match my wardrobe better. Anyway, so these days I'm really drawn to earth tones, warm earth tones, and plains or simple prints like this one. And I don't know if you can guess where that's from, but the shot of all earth tone, beautiful fabric, Merchant & Mills. Was that what you were going to guess?
Yeah, so is it linen?
Yeah, it's linen. So yeah, I would say when I first started sewing, I shopped mostly for cheaper fabric in case I ruined it, and now I'm just like get a little bit more expensive stuff and like, yeah, a little bit more careful with what I buy. But I just, oh, Merchant and Mills is amazing. I went there for the first time this year as a little trip, and I spent such a long time in that shop, and I was just touching everything. I think if you were to say like which shop represents your fabric style the most, it is Merchant and Mills in terms of like the colors and the types of fabric that they use. It's beautiful.
I think they do like sewing retreats there as well, don't they?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, they have that top floor area that they said was used for workshops. Yeah. Oh man, I should do that at some point. That would be amazing. Have you ever been?
I've never been. They did do a stand at the Stitch Festival one time, and so they had lots of their fabrics on there. That was very tempting. I ended up buying like a cotton needle cord, it was like a green cotton needle cord that I used to make a dress that I wore for last Christmas. But it's like so soft, like on the back as well, so it's really nice to wear.
That sounds great. Yeah, I love their remnants bin as well. Bin, that sounds like the wrong word to use for such beautiful things. Their remnants pile is, yeah,
Yeah.
they usually have quite big chunks.
Yeah, I felt like finding a remnant that's actually large enough to make something with is really satisfying.
Definitely. But I think also with Merchant and Mills or like shops that have similar color palettes, it's you can just get two of the same fabric or a few of the same fabric but in different colors, and then that can work quite well. That was my tactic anyway, so hopefully
that worked well with linen scrap busting project.
Yeah. But then at this time of year, like I don't really want to sew with linen, but by the time I make it, it will be warm again, so I need to just override that feeling, I think.
Yeah. Do you tend to make stuff like and that you're already in?
Yeah, like I rationally know that I shouldn't because it's going to take me a while till I get round to it. But yes, I think it is just that, oh, I'm a bit cold, I want some joggers or that sort of thing. What about you?
Yeah, I tend to do that. Like I saw a post from Donna at Size Me Sewing about how like you should plan a season ahead and then try and get stuff for the start of the season and then you can wear it more. But I just find like I don't know, the motivation can be quite low if you're like, oh, it's going to be ages till it's warm again. I want something cozy right now. So I think it does sort of change your motivations, the weather.
I think also I tend to wear the same clothes all year round for the most part, but just a bit differently. So like I'll just have a jumper over a dress instead of by itself or something. So that helps, I think, because then even if I finish a dress, like a strappy dress now, then I'll just wear something underneath it and it'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Natalie says, what is your favorite project you've ever made?
Ooh, that's tricky. I think the project that I'm proudest of in terms of sewing quality was my Alice & Co. Passions boiler suit, because it was just so satisfying and like lovely top stitching, and it was that sort of moment where I was like, oh, I can sew, great, like this looks amazing. It's still unhemmed like 3 years later, but that's just standard me. But I think in terms of the way, like my favorite project in terms of the way it makes me feel wearing it is it Style Sew Me Passions, the Madison cardigan, because, and I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't have it, but if you're in the Haystack Pack you do, because it's closed. But oh my gosh, it's amazing because it's a cardigan, but then it's all kind of capey in the back, and when you twirl around it just swishes, and it just, oh, it's just amazing. It's like witchy vibes, and makes me feel good. So yeah, we'll say that, but I don't want to think about it too much more because I'll probably have like 5 other things coming into my head. It's a good question though.
So do you want to tell us your news about Haystack, about what's coming up?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I'm very excited about this. So because In a Haystack is a digital sewing subscription, I mean, I like that because it means you can add to your stash if you want to. So you've got the digital patterns there for whenever you need them, and you can just get the fabric and the other treats if you want them. But I think for a gift, if you're buying it for a gift, it's really nice when you have something physical to give. So in previous years, we've had gift subscription, like printable cards. So if you buy a gift subscription for Christmas or whatever, you can just print something and put that under the tree. But this year, very excitingly, I'm collaborating with Bias Binding by the Specky Seamstress. So when you buy a gift subscription, you get a little code, and then you can choose which bias binding from them you want, and then you'll get a little sticker on it that says you have been gifted a haystack pack, and then you can wrap that up, put it under the tree in a stocking, or for another type of gift or another type of holiday, and voila, something physical as well as a digital subscription. So it'll come on something like this, except there'll be an extra sticker here that will be like you've been subscribed to the haystack pack. But the bias binding is so nice. Like that's probably my favorite, but I have so many. Like I love this boob one, for anyone who hasn't already seen it. And then there's like dinosaurs. Oh, it just makes me so happy. And yeah, and I love that because Laura's someone who, in the bias binding business, so Laura's been a subscriber, and also her shop has been featured in the pack, and it's just so nice that we can now collaborate in a different way. And I just love that about the sewing community. It's like, and like with you, Yvette, like you're a subscriber, you've been in the pack, now we're having a chat, we were at the same event together. It's just such a lovely thing. So yeah, that's the news. I'm very excited about it.
Amazing. I like how you can choose the pattern, because it's like in the pack you can choose the pattern that you want. You don't have to use the featured pattern. So I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I really just love giving people as much choice as possible, because I think that's how you end up with something that you're most likely to love and make and wear, and you know that's what we all want, isn't it? Like the kind of meaningful stuff, as well as maybe some like creative tests. Like I think that's the other thing with Haystack, is sometimes people don't really know which pattern to choose, so they'll just go with the one that I've featured, even though they can pick any. And then quite often I'll get people saying, oh, I'm really glad because it just pushed me out of my comfort zone. I didn't expect to like it, but I really liked it. Forced me to try something different. So yeah, the element of choice, yeah, but with a little push towards something that you might not have considered before.
Yeah, I find this like some of our Stash Hub subscribers say this as well, that even though now like they know what they've got in their stash, they still feel like that choice paralysis where they've got so many options. And they're like, oh, maybe you could make like a random project generator or something, just so that like I don't have to use that sort of mental energy to actually choose what to make.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, because I guess with the Haystack pack, it's like a natural focuser. Like this month, yeah, I'm going to make this pattern from this designer. But then if you don't make it that month, then the next month you're like, oh, should I do last month's or this month's or something? You know, so I think it's a good focuser. But then having that random generator would be amazing. Like I'm all for that. Oh my gosh, I should totally do that. I mean, not that I can. I would use it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I will have to work on it, I think, to make sure that it actually like gives you a project that would work and doesn't be like, you should make some jeans out of this viscose fabric, because I feel like that's not useful to anyone. It's just going to ruin everyone's fabric. So I think we could make it, you know, fit the criteria together. That would be quite cool.
Oh, that's amazing. So I was just thinking it would be a pattern generator, but you're also thinking of matching it with the other things in their stash. That would be super cool. I think you have to do it. You've set my expectations now. It needs to happen.
You heard it here first, everyone. But yeah, I don't know. I feel quite excited though, like, because even though we've been working on Stash Hub, well, basically on the app for like 2 years now, there's still like a lot of cool stuff that we really want to work on and add to it. So yeah, it's really exciting, and it's really good to like get the feedback from the community as well, to like, know that people are enjoying using the app, and you know what things they'd like to see as well, because that helps us prioritize what to work on.
I love how responsive you are, like, and that is the beauty, one of the beauties of small businesses, is that you can get feedback, and then you can really quite quickly implement it. It's been really cool seeing how Stash Hub has changed and evolved, like with the challenges, showing the different challenges that are available, and then you had for your birthday, you had all the vouchers and everything. Yeah, and like you say, there's just so many other things you can do, and that is the indication of an amazing business model. Obviously, there's loads of other great business models, but this is exciting because it's just like there is no end. You could do as much more as you wanted. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, well, it's like, because the business is just me and my husband Doug. So if you like DM us or send us an email, it goes straight to the top. Like there's no like stuff getting filtered out, like
Sunday walk or something.
Great. Well, let us know in the chat if you've got any more questions for Kate about her stash or the haystack pack or anything like that. I think I've asked all the questions that I had planned. Is there anything else that you want to tell everyone?
Not really. I guess just a thank you to you for having me on here among your star-studded people that you've interviewed. It is an honor to be here, so thank you. And also thank you for being a Haystack Pack subscriber. Always very meaningful as well. And to everyone who joined, thank you as well. It's good to be here. It's nice to chat, do something fun on a otherwise quite dark and gloomy evening. And then, yeah, I guess the last thing is just, if you want to check out the Haystack Packs, they're just a fun way to discover new sewing patterns and businesses with a monthly email sent to you with discounts and patterns. So have a look at my Instagram and my website, and look out for our new gift subscriptions with the free bias binding. So that's my little sales pitch at the end, but yeah, thank you very much for having me.
So is that available through your website, the gift subscription with the bias binding?
Yeah, it should be up tomorrow, if not very soon, but I'll announce it to newsletter subscribers and on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, keep your eye out.
Amazing. Sam says they love their haystack pack. That's amazing.
Yay, thank you. And I love seeing all of your amazing makes, like that dress that you just made, the Daphne dress. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Everyone needs to go check it out. Gorgeous purple dress.
Amazing. Right, so I'm going to tell you now about what's happening next week. So usual Thursday stash chat next week, I'm actually going to be doing 5 stash chats next week, because this is it's a new week, so it's a new birthday celebration. We're going hard for our first birthday, so we're doing a new thing every week. So next week I'm going to be doing a stash chat every day, Monday to Friday, with a different sewing bee. So I'm not going to tell you who I've got on next week yet, but I'm going to announce it tomorrow. You can tune in live to some of those. They will be at 7 p.m, the next week ones, so I'm not going to be an hour early for all the chats next week. Hopefully I'm not an hour late, because that would be disastrous, but yeah, hopefully somebody can join us next week. And I put all of the episodes, so this was episode 10, so if you have the whole 9 episodes to catch up on, they'll be on our YouTube channel, which is Stash Hub, or they're also in the Reels section of our Instagram page as well. So thanks everyone who joined and watched us live and asked questions, and thank you so much to Kate for telling us about her stash and her lovely business. It was really great to chat to you this evening. Thanks everyone. Bye.